Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Chess Thoughts. I'm your host, and today is very special. We're diving into one of the oldest and most profound questions in philosophy. Does free will truly exist? When we make choices, are they genuinely ours, or are they shaped by a web of external influences and subconscious patterns beyond our control? The debate around free will versus determinism has intrigued philosophers, scientists, and thinkers for centuries. Today, we're going to explore both sides of this complex topic, examining how our choices might be influenced by genetics, society, psychology, and even neuroscience. So, join me as we explore the mystery of free will and what it means for our lives. Let's start with the basics. What is free will? At its core, free will is the idea that we have the power to make choices independent of external influences. In other words, when we make a decision, we are acting on our own volition rather than just responding to circumstances, biology, or social pressure. But this definition of free will raises an important question. Are our choices really that free? We may feel as though we're acting independently, but if our choices are influenced by factors outside our control, like genetics, upbringing, or the environment, can we still say we have true free will? In philosophy, this is known as the debate between free will and determinism. Determinism is the idea that everything that happens, including human actions, is determined by preceding events or conditions. According to determinism, our choices are not truly free because they are shaped by a chain of prior causes. One of the biggest challenges to the concept of free will comes from biology. Research in genetics and neuroscience has shown that our thoughts, preferences, and even personalities are influenced by factors beyond our control. For example, genetic predispositions can affect everything from our risk of certain behaviors to how we respond to stress or relationships. Scientists have even discovered that our brain can start preparing to make a decision before we're consciously aware of it. Studies using brain scans show that our brain activity signals a choice seconds before we consciously decide, suggesting that much of what we do might be shaped by subconscious processes rather than active decision-making. This doesn't necessarily mean that we have no control over our actions, but it does suggest that a significant part of our behavior is influenced by biological factors. So, if much of what we think and feel is wired into us at a genetic or neural level, where does free will fit in? Beyond biology, there's also the influence of social conditioning. From a young age, we're shaped by our environment, by our family, our culture, our society, and even our experiences in school and media. These external factors often define what we view as normal, what we value, and what we believe. Think about it. How much of what we consider to be our choices are really shaped by societal expectations or cultural norms? Whether it's choosing a career, deciding who to date, or even forming opinions on certain issues, our upbringing and environment play a huge role. We often think we're making independent choices, but these choices are deeply influenced by the beliefs and norms around us. This doesn't mean that our choices aren't meaningful, but it does raise questions about just how free they are. Are we truly choosing, or are we simply following a path that was laid out for us by our society? Another layer to this debate is the subconscious mind. Our subconscious processes a huge amount of information that never reaches our conscious awareness, and it plays a massive role in shaping our thoughts, reactions, and choices. Much of what we do is driven by subconscious habits, and patterns developed over time, like why we're drawn to certain people or repeat specific behaviors. For example, if you've ever felt drawn to a particular type of person, place, or activity without really understanding why, it's likely due to unconscious factors. These factors can include memories, unprocessed emotions, or even past experiences. The subconscious mind can be like an unseen driver, quietly steering our decisions based on patterns we might not fully understand. So, if our subconscious mind influences our actions and decisions, does that mean we're less in control of our lives than we think? Despite all these influences, biology, society, and the subconscious, many philosophers argue that there is still room for free will. They suggest that while our choices may be influenced by various factors, we still have the ability to make conscious decisions within those boundaries. This perspective is known as compatibilism. According to compatibilists, free will and determinism aren't mutually exclusive. Rather, we have the freedom to make choices within the limits of our circumstances. In this view, we might not have absolute freedom, but we can choose how to respond to our circumstances. For example, someone may have a genetic predisposition towards certain behaviors, but with awareness and effort, they can choose to change or manage those behaviors. This is where personal responsibility and self-awareness come in. By becoming aware of the factors that shape our choices, we can begin to take greater control over our lives. We might not have complete freedom, but we can exercise conscious choice within our constraints. So, why does this debate over free will versus determinism matter? At its heart, this question challenges us to examine the meaning behind our choices. Even if we accept that our decisions are influenced by external factors, it doesn't necessarily mean our lives lack purpose. In fact, recognizing the factors that influence us can empower us to make more intentional choices. If we believe we have free will, it can give us a sense of agency, motivating us to make positive changes in our lives and take responsibility for our actions. On the other hand, acknowledging the limits of our freedom can lead to greater compassion for ourselves and for others. If we understand that people's actions are influenced by complex factors, we may be more forgiving and empathetic. Whether free will exists in an absolute sense may remain an open question, but how we approach this question can shape how we live, how we treat others, and how we find meaning in the journey. The question of free will versus determinism is one we may never fully answer, but it invites us to reflect on our own choices, our motivations, and the forces that shape who we are. Perhaps, in the end, it's not about proving whether free will exists, but about recognizing the balance between freedom and influence in our lives. Whether our choices are entirely free or partially influenced, there's still incredible value in striving to make intentional, conscious decisions. By becoming more aware of the factors that shape us, we gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and a greater capacity to live meaningfully. Thank you for joining me in today's reflection on Chess Thoughts. If this episode got you thinking about the choices in your own life, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with someone who enjoys a little philosophical reflection. Until next time, and just encouraging you to explore the mystery of free will and the power of mindful choice.